What's going on? What's going on? Happy Friday. I hope everyone's doing well. It's been a crazy, crazy week. Short week, Memorial Week. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm Umar Desai. I'm here with you guys here on Coast to Coast Packers. I know we're not on our normal scheduled time. Kind of wanted to wait for some OTA practice to go through, some pressers and some more comments kind of come up from the players and from the coaches and from 1265. So Trag and I thought we'd kind of go here on a Friday evening, kind of close you guys out on a good Friday, lead into the weekend. And for me, weather over here is a little crazy. So if I lose my power, hopefully I don't lose too much internet and we keep going. If that's the case, Trag will keep us going. Trag, how are you doing, man?
Doing good. Well, our weather's kind of calmed down for now, and then next week they're talking storms coming back. So we've been lucky as of late, I guess. But now it's almost too dry out there. We need more right now.
I hear you, man. I was like, man, I had meetings all day today. I was gonna hope to try to get out there and cut the grass before this rain came, because me and my lawn, right? I just try to get that thing staying as green as possible. Unfortunately, I couldn't go out there, so it's going to be probably a 5-bag kind of day for me this weekend, which I'm not looking forward to. But yeah, man, I feel you, bro. It's just it seems like when you guys have good crappy weather, we're looking clear in sky, and then it's like flipped right now. So
exactly, we cannot be both in the good. We can't both be in the good.
I said one day, maybe in the next month in June, we'll see some weather for both of us. Probably will be too hot then, and we'll be complaining about that, right?
That's true.
But,
that is true.
But OTAs, man, OTAs are finally here. I think as Packers fans, like most fans, for anything that happens football related, we get a little giddy, we get a little excited. And I mean, just based on kind of the things that I saw for OTAs today or this week, I think the one thing we can all agree upon is Matthew Golden is fast. And
yeah,
I think watching him run next to the other receiver, and I couldn't figure out if it was Dobbs or if it was Wicks or some other guy that's one of the practice squad dudes. But man, he just looked like he was at a different speed. And man, he just looked good. He just looked really good, man. And just overall, the OTAs, just all the comments, all the pressers and everything. We're gonna go over all that today. But just seeing the on-field work, I know it's like it's on air. There's no like defense. There's no actual competition periods that we can see. But just seeing Jordan out there slinging the ball, looking healthy, it looks great, man. I know there's a couple players that are currently right now not practicing. Kenny Clark, Quay, your favorite player.
Oh yeah,
Marshawn Lloyd, and then surprisingly seeing Watson out there doing stretches. I was impressed. I was really impressed. I told you too. He was a freak. I'm telling you. If that man comes back after 4 weeks on PUP, I'm telling y'all, y'all need to give me my flowers. But Trey, I'm gonna stop. I'll keep going. I want to see what you think. What do you think about the OTA so far?
Going to Christian Watson, if he comes back and stays healthy for the next how many weeks that he's back, then I'll give you your flowers. If he comes back for a week and he goes out again with injury, then I'm going to say, all right, maybe a little bit too soon. But I will agree. I did enjoy watching little Matthew Golden out there. I can't wait to see if Christian Watson does come back healthy, seeing those two together, because that is going to be some burner speed. What are you going to do? That is when I said before, I was talking about, defenses, and when they look at this Packers offense, they said, well, we don't have to really shift to one side of the field because they don't have anybody that's going to beat us, anybody who's going to blow us over. You have both those guys out there at the exact same time. What side of the field are you going to go to? You're going to lean your safeties over to Watson's side? You're going to lean them over to Golden side? Where are you going to lean them? You can't. You have to just play straight up and pray that Jordan Love or somebody overshoots a guy. Like, that is where this Packers offense is kind of leaning. If they stay healthy, they have a lot of weapons on the offensive side, and they added another receiver. I don't understand why we keep adding receivers, but we added another receiver in this before OTA. So I don't know I don't know much about Sam Brown Jr., but another guy. Like, we didn't have enough controversy.
Man. That was a closer.
We didn't have enough controversy in this wide receiver room already and worried about cuts. Now we bring in another guy to say, let's spice it up. Let's just spice it up even more and see what happens. I'm at the point right now where I'm looking at trades. I'm like looking out there for defensive guys, and I'm saying, who needs a wide receiver? Yeah. Anybody need a wide receiver? I got some guys. I got Hardman. I got some young guys. You need somebody? Here you go. But I will say, off OTAs, I was impressed with Romeo Doubs. Yep. The leadership role that he took with Golden, taking him under the wing. Matt LaFleur was talking about it where, he was going to tell Matthew Golden something, and Rome's like, no, I got it. And then Rome took him underneath his wing. And I thought that was awesome. I really did. I thought that was awesome seeing Romeo Doubs kind of step into, because we're wondering who's going to be that wide receiver one. And a wide receiver one is not just, oh, I'm a good pass catcher, or, oh, I'm a good route runner. He's also a guy who takes guys under the wing. He's also a leader. He's a guy in the huddle who's a leader. If Romeo Doubs can be that guy, can step up and be that guy, all right, I'm good with it. I think Jaden Reed can be a number one wide receiver. Like, don't get me wrong. But I'm good if Doubs wants to step up and be that leader, be that guy. All that negative that we were thinking about last year, the cancer in the locker room, everything like that whole narrative kind of goes away. And it's growth. And I was talking about growth. I don't know if it was on here or if it was on the radio. I don't remember. Sometimes I get space where I'm talking about things. But where I talked about this wide receiver room and where they needed to grow in this offseason and get out of their own way. That's a guy getting out of his own way, growing up, being a man, and saying, I'm going to take these young guys under my wing and teach them, show them the ropes. And I love that. So that's all I got to say. I absolutely loved what I saw out of Romeo Doubs in OTAs, taking Golden under his wing there.
Yeah, I was gonna say you jumped ahead with the Sam Brown thing, but it's all good. I was gonna say now the Packers have the lucky number 13 receivers in camp right now. So
That's
hey, it's gonna be a battle, right? You're gonna see competition, see who's gonna come out the strongest and the fittest. I agree. Like Coach LaFleur did say that about Doubs and about Reed too. That he was very impressed about Reed. He was impressed by the leadership role that he was taking. And even
why did nobody tell him about? Because Goody went to his house, and then LaFleur's like, yeah, nobody told me about that.
Yeah, that whole thing was a little weird to me. I'm sorry.
How did you know, but Goody knew? They called Goody. Like, I figured they called LaFleur, and LaFleur was like, hey, Goody, this is what's going on. And then Goody went. And no. They, like, called directly to Goody and said, hey, dude, this is what's going on. Went over Matt LaFleur, which is like, that's also, I don't know if that's concerning, but it's like they went over Matt LaFleur and went to the GM. It's like they went past the coach and went up. I don't know if it's concerning or not, but it's just weird. It was weird that Matt LaFleur had no idea about that whole thing. Basically, it was like, yeah, I found out from you guys. And it's like, that's kind of weird.
I don't know. For me, because you got the way the setup was, right? Murphy came in. We got Ed Policy coming here in a couple months, but Murphy came in. He changed everything up to where instead of having like coach, GM, owner, right? Or like coach, GM, president, it's basically everybody reports up to the president. And I wonder because of that, like they've kind of, if you notice the way they talk to each other, you notice the floor, even like right now, the floor wants Mercedes Lewis back, right? He loves the dude. He got his jersey for his birthday by the players because he loves the guy so much, and then he really wants it back. But Goody you can tell Goody's the reason why it's not happening. And you kind of feel like when it comes to personnel, movements, decisions, things like that, that's all Goody. That's why LaFleur a lot of times passes it off. He's like, hey, guess what? It's not on me. You need to talk to Goody about that. And I know in previous years, McCarthy was the same way. The only time that we really didn't see that was with Sherman. Because Sherman had both the GM and the head coach you have, right? So I'm with you, man. I think that it's a little bit weird where you feel like left hand, right hand aren't talking, which is something that has bothered me in the past when like the coaches weren't going to the combine. And I feel like their input should be really involved when it comes to the players they're selected. You just shouldn't be like, hey, we're going to give you guys, you make it work. And it's like, okay, I get that. But you kind of want to make sure they fit your scheme and they fit your and that, culture. I think they can all figure out, but when it comes to talent, it's like, okay, you want to make sure that they're fitting whatever you guys are doing because square peg round whole shit, it's not going to really work. But I'm with you though. I think like the OTAs where you just it's football, right? It's not the football that we want to see, which we're going to see in September, but it's still something. So I'm going to take it, man.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, that whole thing, it's weird that LaFleur just didn't know anything. I get the whole, we went straight to the president. And that kind of thing, dumb. He could have been. I think he does that a lot too. I think he does, and he gives a lot of dumb answers. And I think that might have been a dumb answer. I think he could have just said like, "Yep, this is what was discussed. Everything was discussed. Behind closed doors, we're good." Like that would have been simple answer. Like we're good. Everything's good here. Not like, yeah, I had no idea. It just we talk about it all the time. We're like, does he have the locker room? And is the locker room under control? And is he the top dog? Right? And it's like. When you say something like that, you make me nervous that you really don't have the locker room. You're just kind of this placeholder at the top, and they all go past you to the, the upper ups to talk. I would have thought Jaden Reed would have been like, hey, Matt, because you're my offensive coordinator. You're my offensive guy. Hey, Matt, what's my role? I thought they would have went to LaFleur first, not Goody, because what the hell is Goody? Like, honestly, like, he's the GM. Like, he's not going out there and making the offensive game plan. He's just like, hey, Matt, here's your guys. Like, I'm going to sign these guys for you. Here you go. So it's weird that they went past him, I guess. And that was his comments on it. So maybe, like you said, maybe he's just kind of lying about it. It's actually, he knew about it the whole time. Maybe he's just playing dumb. I don't know. But it was a whole weird thing to me.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. Like if you think about it, Goody's probably not going to speak again here for a while, right? He may talk. I think probably the bye week is the next time he'll probably speak again, unless the whole ed policy, when the ed policy thing comes through, he may have a couple comments. But this is that time where they can kind of dump a lot of things on Goody, and they don't have to really worry about it because he doesn't really speak much anyways to the press, which is to the chagrin of all the beat writers. They kind of wish he talked more. So I'm with you. There's that dysfunction that sometimes we see that can get a little annoying, and you're not really sure what's really going on in 1265. But hopefully, you know what? They get it together, and when September rolls around, we're rearing and rolling. And a couple comments that we saw from coaches' pressers a couple days. One was Edgerrin Cooper. He's ballooned up to 240 pounds, and that he looks in a phenomenal shape. And that Goody was not Goody. Sorry, I got me on Goody now. Shit, LaFleur was very commentary about Jason Wilde's being a physical specimen when he was asking about Watson. But then he also was very like, you could tell that he had felt a certain kind of way about saying certain player, like, Mike Schneidman had been like, yeah, these guys come in and they're in great shape. And Wilde said this too. And then LaFleur is very emphatically saying, not everybody's in great shape. Not everyone's ready to go. So it kind of makes you wonder, some of these guys that aren't practicing right now. We do know some of it when it comes to Elton Jenkins, more contract related, Jair contract related, right? And maybe even Quay too, because I know his 5th-year option was activated, but still, maybe he still wants to get that contract in place. It's just funny to me, like, for him to make that comment that you're seeing like certain guys like Marshawn Lloyd, who is still, in the rehab group. And I had, Ben Sermons here a couple of weeks ago talk about that. He looks amazing. He's in the playbook. He knows everything. And then now he's not out there practicing. Now it's OTAs. It's freaking May. It's not a big deal. But just, you kind of want to just have all your hands in right now, practicing, getting the reps, and just getting acclimated to the, upcoming long season that we're going to have, considering the fact that we're going to have an early bye week. And after that, we're going to be basically going nonstop up until we get to the playoffs. And then hopefully we get a bye week or something. But all in all, seems like, they are very excited about the new guys they have. And I have to admit, watching Aaron Banks and Belton out there, those are two really, really, really big dudes. But it just looked like, all in all, things are looking okay. I have to admit, I didn't like the Reed comments, but at the end of the day, like, when I say I didn't like them, like you just said, the dysfunction. But all in all, I'm really just looking forward to seeing where they're going to take this to the next step. And I think something you broached on that was pretty cool about the trades. Like, there's a lot of guys out there right now that are looking. I put out a joke about trading Dobbs for a TJ Watt, and a couple people took that a little too seriously. And I'm just like, hey, it's a freaking joke. But like, if it happened, hey, playmaker's playmaker, right? But I have to admit, that connection that Dobbs and Love have, there's chemistry there. Yeah. Like, that's the guy he goes to. That's his security blanket. That's the dude that he does look for. And when they showed the play-by-play of the drive during OTAs in their competitive period, which didn't show it, but the beat writers were talking about it, Dobbs was the mostly heavily targeted receiver in that drive. Both of them ending up in scoring drives. So I'm with you. Like, I feel like Dobbs might have turned the corner. And if that's the case, it just makes this wide receiver room that much harder to figure out who's going to come out on top.
No, I 100% agree. And, that's a big thing with right now and having the all hands on deck, is you kind of want to get that feel. Who's going to be the guys, right? And Marshawn Lloyd still being in the rehab group really makes you nervous, because you got to, I understand it's May. You're just getting into June. You don't have to make these decisions today, but you're going to have to make some decisions in that running back room, in that wide receiver room. And you want to have these guys in there right now so you can get that feel. See what they're about, because it's about that chemistry. It's about who fits the system. And if they don't fit, you want to kind of squash that bug earlier rather than later. And that's kind of where I'm at with this right now, is, seeing guys still on the rehab list and hearing Matt LaFleur and them say, well, guys aren't ready yet, or they're not, they're coming in out of show. How are you?
Yeah, I don't understand.
How are you not prepared for where we're at right now? I guess it's only May, so it's like not a huge deal, but it also is the preparation of these guys getting in there. How much were they working in the offseason? That's a big question too. So, I mean, where I'm looking to is the cornerback room, because they got to get this Jair thing figured out sooner rather than later here. They really do. I think it's got to be within the next, I would say, month. If it's got to be within the next month. If it doesn't happen then, they're not making it happen at all. He still says he's going to show up to mandatory minicamp and everything like that. That's huge. That's weird, but huge. But at the same time, I just saw his story where he posted it, and he's like sitting there with a bunch of money
falling down. Yeah,
and I'm like, so
job money.
Does he have a deal in place? Is there a deal in place? Like, what's the deal? I have no idea. And it sounds like everybody wants him back. And if you get him back, this is a pretty good secondary. I mean, you look on paper, like, we're talking on paper right now. We're not talking on paper. I mean, you're looking at it. You have Keyshawn Nixon. You're going to have Micah Robinson. Kazir Brown's going to be in there, the young guys. Nate Robinson. You're going to have Javian Bullard back. Those guys are your nickel backs. You're going to have Kalen King, who's another guy who's coming back here. I mean, you're going to have a lot of pieces, right? And a lot of, Carrington Valentine's still in there, Isaiah Dunn. I mean, you're going to have a lot of pieces in the room. It's just a question of how they all fit, right? And if Jair's there, if he's not. If Jair's there, this secondary looks a lot better. When you take him out, I don't like the look of it as much. I like him inserted in there. So I think at this point, if you're the Green Bay Packers, your defense is, I wouldn't say 100% better, but it's about 90% better with him in there. I still think you need to address the pass rush if that is a problem yet. But I'm looking at him and I'm saying if he's available, and it's like adding a draft. It's like adding a draft pick right now. It's like you're having a draft you're adding. It's like a free agent signing, but he's already in the room. He's already there. Getting him back is huge, and I think they got to do it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the Jair thing, they got to restructure contract in place, decides if he signs it or not. I think if you are expecting to have him out there, you're going to pay him anyways. And from the way it sounds, both the Packers and him have a mutual agreement about wanting to make this work. Like, he wants to be in Green Bay. They want him in Green Bay. Now can they just make it happen, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact is, you're right. Like, when it comes to him not being in that secondary, the corner room, with Nate Hobbs can play inside out. Keyshawn can play inside out too. Then you got a lot of young guys that are kind of up and coming. But you're right, though. Like, having a guy like Jair out there, when Jair's out there and when he's healthy, which I know Jason says all the time, but it's true. When it comes down to it is, he is a top 5 corner. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And I feel like Hafley's defense is quite different with him being out there, right? And I think with all that being said, a secondary can only as good as their pass rush. And you still got Trey Hendrickson out there who is not happy with what's going on. He's over here talking about missing games or missing the whole 2025 season if he doesn't get the contract he wants. We just saw the 49ers trade for Bryce Hupp for literally a 3rd-round pick, which wasn't really a lot. And even though he does require a new contract, he already got paid, so they're going to have to pay out his contract. But still, though, like, these are the kinds of things that Goody needs to look into. Ben Solak just put out an article, and basically he said the Packers won't make the playoffs primarily because of pass rush and because of not addressing the receiver room. Receiver thing, I think, is a little bogus. I feel like the pieces are there. And the reason why we drafted 2 receivers in this draft is because the fact that the Packers led the league in drops that could have been possible completions. Warren Sharp put out a tweet on that, which I thought was pretty interesting. It kind of shows you exactly the reason why they had it. Kind of shows them infusion in that room. But when it comes to the defense and when it comes to the pass rush, I like the guys there. I think we're banking way too much on Covington making that change. I hope he does. But honestly, if Lucas Van Ness doesn't take that jump, Rashawn Gary isn't taking it to the next level, and the rest of the guys that are on that line, you got someone out there like Hendrickson. TJ Watt seems like a freaking, a dream. Like, that's impossibility, right? But then again, though, Khalil Mack seemed like an impossibility too when he got traded to the Bears for 2 first-round picks. So I think, you just never really know. Like, even back in the day when we got Julius Peppers. Julius Peppers was a free agent. And they literally brought him in the dark of night. And the next day he was in Green Bay taking pictures of Lambeau Field and signing a contract in 2014. It was crazy, right? Yep. So crazier things have happened. And so I think Goody really needs to get this whole, I want to keep my team young. I got into kind of a little bit of a spat on Twitter about this with one of the guys that I follow, where it's just staying young isn't the way it's not a recipe for success, right? Like, at the end of the day, for me, the reason why we won the Super Bowl in 2010 is because we had a good mixture of veteran leadership and young talent. We need to kind of bring that back because right now we don't have a lot of veteran leadership on the team. Yeah. I think bringing in someone like Trey Hendrickson, bringing in someone like Marcellus Lewis, who may not be a great tight end, but I'm sorry, you put him next to Rasheed Walker or Zach Tom, those sides are getting locked down. Like, he's still probably a better pass blocker than most left tackles and right tackles in the league. He's probably like a top 15 pass blocker, which is kind of crazy to say for a tight end. So, Jair, I kind of hope they worked it out. Like you were saying, he's talking about coming up there in mandatory mini camp, which is probably to force their hand. And, the June 1 cut day is literally right around the corner. So we'll kind of see if that spurs any action. And then, Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed came out here, said that he was prepared for the beat writers to ask him about what happened in Rosenthal. So from what it sounds like, it seems like Drew Rosenthal kind of took it upon himself to contact Goody to make kind of a little bit of story about it. Reed is saying all the right things, taking a leadership role, says he doesn't care if he gets 2 targets as long as they win. I think that's a great thing to say. But when it comes to money and it comes to production and you're required to make production and get those kind of top tier contracts to get that $20 million a year, $25 million a year, hey, you're going to need your targets. You're going to need your production. So I can see why, even though you're saying you didn't make Drew do this, I can understand why. And the Packers are a better team with Jaden Reed getting his touches, playing simple. And we've seen that in previous games, in games last year.
No, yeah, I agree. Him and, you look at him, you look at Tucker Kraft. Those two guys need to be a influential part of the offense, game in and night out.
Yep.
If they went through a stretch last season where Tucker Kraft had like 2 or 3 targets on like 3 games straight. And it's you wonder why you're losing football games right now. One of the best. Yeah. I say it. One of the best tight ends in the NFC is not getting touches right now. That's plain and simple. You want to lose games? That's how you do it. That's like if the Chiefs went away from Travis Kelce for 3 games. Like, how would that go? Not very well. And I did like the comment you made about getting older, getting some older guys in there. That's what the Commanders did. Yeah. A lot of people were shooting on them. They went out. They got Will Harris. They got a couple different guys. They got Deebo Samuel in there. Yeah. They got a little bit older. Sometimes getting older isn't the worst thing because, like you said, you can only. I hate they're a young team thing, so I don't even.
That doesn't do you any good, man. Like, I'm sorry. Like, yeah. If we won a Super Bowl those 2 years with the youngest team in the NFL, all right, let's do it, baby. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And guess what? That year we won, we had guys like Brad Chiller. We had guys like Pickett. We had Woodson. We had Howard Green. We had Donald Driver. We had veteran leadership up and down that roster. And to sit there, I just like when I hear people like poo-poo on the idea of bringing up guys back like Lewis or trading for a 31, 32-year-old Hendrickson. I'm just like, Julius Peppers was 31, 32 years old when we brought him in.
Yep.
And look how great that turned out. We were literally a game away from a Super Bowl. And honestly, like 2 years 2 years, in 2016 and 2014. And in 2015, if Jory doesn't get hurt, I'm pretty sure we probably have a good shot to beat the Arizona Cardinals in that game. So I'm with you, man. I just think that sometimes people get very infatuated with this whole, like, let's stay young and let's cut people a year early than a year late and all that kind of stuff. But for me, I just feel like what you've been doing has been giving you pretty good success, but it hasn't gotten you over the hump in the last 15 years. I think you need to try something different.
Keep the core young, keep the core together, build them from a young age. Like, that's fine. We're just saying the outside pieces, not your core guys, your outside pieces, bring them in. Julius Peppers wasn't meant to be the centerpiece. He just ended up being a darn good player. That's want to bring in guys who, and that's what you look at a lot of these are teams out here. Like, look at the Commanders. They signed Bobby Wagner. Wagner is supposed to be on his way out of the NFL.
Bro, he's like 40 years old. He's like as old as me, dog. He's out there freaking still. And you saw it a couple times.
He makes plays. He goes in there and he makes plays. He has experience. He's just smarter than everybody else out there. And that's why he's still successful. He's not as young. He's not as fast anymore, but he still makes plays and he still can do it. And that's where I think the Packers are lacking, is they have no experience. There's no experience across that board there. Rashawn Gary, you got Kenny Clark. Those are your older guys. And Kenny Clark was a non-factor. So it's like when you have your old guys are non-factors, now your young guys are trying to pick up the slack, first-year, second-year guys. Well, it's not a proven recipe for success. Ask anybody. Right. We go back and look at the past Super Bowl winners and see how many rookies they had starting. See how many second-year guys they had starting on that roster. I'm not trying to make that excuse for that can continue to be the excuse, but I'm saying that sometimes you need that veteran leadership, those guys in the room. I thought losing Aaron Jones was huge. Why?
I agree.
He came back to the Packers that season there 2 years ago. Goodness, the way that they took off. Just having him in the lock, just in that huddle, just calm down, Love. Calm down the offense. Everything. Calm down Matt LaFleur. Just gave the peace of mind to everybody. Sometimes that's all you need is that peace of mind. Now, I'm not saying Josh Jacobs isn't great and he can't be that guy. I'm just saying that having older veteran guys like a Mercedes Lewis, maybe he doesn't play. Because, I mean, honestly, if you have Luke Musgrave and you have Tucker Kraft, where's the ball? I mean, most of the time he's not going to be in there. But Tucker Kraft is a good blocking tight end. Luke Musgrave's not.
He's not. That's what I'm saying. Like, you put him in the Jimmy Graham role. He split it out. You put Mercedes Lewis on the other side. Yeah, you're playing 3 tight ends in that package. But I'm just saying, like,
if he wants to come in for cheap, if he ain't gonna do it for nothing, like, he's not gonna do it for nothing. But if he wants to be coming for cheap, I mean, is he better than Ben Sims and what's that Fitzpatrick guy or whatever the heck his name is? I don't care about him. Like, if he's better than those 2 guys, okay, see you later, dudes. That Fitzpatrick, though, wasn't that he's huge? I thought he was.
Yeah, he's a guy from 6'6" from Georgia, I believe.
That's big, dude. That's big. I don't know. I don't know if I want to lose him. I kind of like that. Like, when you get in the red zone, you just want like a tree to throw at, like that. I mean, that'd be my guy. That'd be my guy.
Yeah, dude, man. It's like back in the day when we had Dominic Daphne. That was the dude, man. Like Iowa State, and like he was an undrafted free agent, and he just does a huge, just like feel good story hearing about him, just kind of like where he came from and where he became, right? Like he was 6'4", 6'5", same thing, right? And but I'm with you, like you can definitely tell some of the I guess the personality of some of the players is really coming out because the pressers that we had, the interviews with the players, you had the main guys, you had McKinney, you had Jacobs, and you had Love, right? Love wasn't making any excuses. He talked about the fact that first he messed up his knee, then his groin, then he re-aggravated his groin, then his knee was acting up again, and just basically he was just not healthy all year. And then hearing him and coach talk about when it came to how he felt he may have taken a step, beat people were feeling, a lot of us were saying he took a step back. The truth was hearing LaFleur kind of go out of his way and be like, okay, no, there's a lot of drops, there's a lot of miscommunication, there's a lot of this, a lot of that. And I was like, I get all that. But there were some plays where Jordan could have done a little better too. And Jordan was very defensive about the fact that, hey, we didn't take a step back. We won more games this year than last year. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I agree with that. But why did you win more games? Was it because of your production? Or was it because of the fact that Josh Jacobs went on a tear? Your defense was playing better, right? And honestly, like you had some moments, but for the most part, you weren't where you were at that same time last year. Now, injuries played into it. Across the board, your injuries, receivers, inconsistencies, all that kind of stuff. But the comments from Jordan was really interesting, and I'm like, okay, hey, that's the first time people felt like he was a little bit like taken back and a little snippy, which he normally isn't. He's not a very emotional dude. He doesn't have highs and lows. You can definitely tell he took a little bit of offense to that question being asked about taking a step back as a team or as an offense. But all that means for him is to be able to prove that he could take this team to the next level, right?
Yeah.
And Jacobs definitely came back and was very like, not only did he say, hey, I talked to all those guys after I made those comments about WR1, and he's all like, hey, guess what? I stood by what I said. They understood why I said it, and every single one of them told me that they're gonna prove to me why I was wrong. Hey, and the thing with Jacobs that I respect is that he's come up the hard way, a lot of adversity. And he put his money where the mouth is by playing the way he did last year. He talked a lot of trash about these guys not being a true number one. But guess what, though? He was the reason why we carried that team. And he's the reason why we had even a score. We even had a score, literally, in that Eagles game. I mean, let's be real. Like, Josh Jacobs saved our season last year. Plain and simple. And he has a right to make the comments that he did. And he backed it up. And now they're talking he even looks fresher now than he did last year, which I think is kind of crazy. And then, like, you already brought up McKinney. McKinney basically is Jair Alexander's hype man. Talk about he became very good close friends with him. They were training in the offseason, and that, he wants him back, but he also wants him to do what's best for him. And I think when you hear that, it really shows you the balance of team player, which I think Jair is, but then also you got to do what's right for your future, right? And the fact is, NFL is not for long. I mean, let's be real, right? Not for long is the true meaning of NFL, and you got to get as much money as you can. I think Jair's earned it. But again, Packers got to do what they got to do to protect themselves from that too. What'd you think about some of the comments from Jordan and I guess you could call them the team leaders?
I don't like the defensive takes. I actually hate defensive takes. I don't, and you know what, Matt LaFleur too. I mean, you want to point the elephant to the room, sure. there was drops. Everybody knows that. I don't need to know that anymore. I don't want you to bring that up anymore. That's the past. Like, let's get over that. Let's move past that. Let's allow the receivers, and because they listen back to what he had to say, they want to know what did Coach have to say today in his presser. Oh, we had a lot of drops last year. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I was trying to make that. I want tough love. I want guys. Yeah. I want them to know, and I want them to know behind closed doors, right? Yeah. And as a head coach, I want to hear him come in because I got to be honest with you. I don't think Matt LaFleur prepares his guys well enough.
Yeah.
So I want to hear you say that I need to do better.
Coach, right? So
yep. I want to hear him come into these pressers and when not be defensive, not say, oh, well, it wasn't all Jordan's fault because, the receivers were doing this. No. I want you to come in and I want you to say to me, I need to do better about having my wide receiver coach getting these guys up and getting them going. I need to do better about telling Tom, and that's not Tom Clemens anymore, but whoever is going to, or is it, Sean Mannion now is in there?
He's the quarterback coach, yeah. Yep.
But I need to be better about telling Sean Mannion, hey, you got to get Jordan Love's feet better. You got to get his progressions better. You got to get him, because I got to be honest with you, when I watched Jordan Love last year, I didn't think he was getting all his reads. I didn't think so. I thought he would go 1, 2, I don't really like this anymore. Bam, balls out. And he makes some stupid decision. I didn't think, I thought, honestly, the talent was all there. It's just the head wasn't there. I wasn't honestly, like, I knew he wasn't mobile. I didn't care about his legs. Like, I knew that wasn't there. I understood that. I didn't think that he was there mentally. And maybe that was because of the lack of legs. Maybe that was. I'm not going to say that, not if he feels like he's half of himself. I'm not going to say that that isn't a decent enough excuse. But I don't think that he was there mentally, and you got to be able to get over that. You got to be mentally tough enough to get over that, whether it's an injury or whatever. We saw Rodgers go out, right? He went out against the Bears that time, went to the locker room, broken, comes back out and just starts dueling. And look at guys like what was his name? Chris Canty there. He tore his retina and ended up playing the entire game in that Super Bowl. It's just, you have those crazy injuries that happen, but you're mentally tough enough to continue. And I just want to hear from these guys, like Jordan Love. Don't be defensive. Say, I could be better. Yeah.
Which he normally does.
But I think
in his defense, he did say that in that same breath. But you could definitely be like, hey, we did win more games. But he did say that he could be better. So he kind of did both, right?
He was both with it. And I just want to hear him say, like, hey, I need to work with my guys, right? And that's why I think all this has to come down to with all these guys. Is they all have to come back to taking the ownership of what they can do better. Stop trying to point the blame everywhere else. We're done point and blame, because point and blame does not help anything, in my opinion. I need Matt LaFleur to come in and say, I need to do better because I'm the head coach. I need to do better about telling my wide receiver coach, like I said, to get these guys up and get them going. Figure out the drop problem. Not blame my receivers. Blame my coach. Right? We blame the defensive line coach for the lack of pressures because we just fired him. We said that was the reason, right? That was the reason why Lucas Van Ness hasn't progressed. Devontae Wyatt hasn't progressed. It was the defensive line coach. So now we got Covington. Okay, that fixes it, right? That's what they're hoping. Well, if your receivers continue to have a drop problem, what do we got to do next? Right? You got to fire somebody else. You got to bring somebody else in to help that crew out. If Jordan Love continues to have quote unquote issues, some people find it as issues, some people don't. You ask Bill Michaels, he had issues. You ask some other people, he didn't have issues. And you look at stats and it's like he didn't have problems. But I think at the end of the day, nobody's looking at the stats because the stats show that he was okay.
Yeah,
I think we look at
average. Yeah,
I think honestly, my problem, I guess I could say, is I have this expectation that he's better than what he was.
100%.
And I think that's my problem. Yeah. People are like, they're so quick to say, wow, you don't know what you're talking about because he didn't play that bad. I agree. He didn't play that bad. But do you want him to just not play that bad? Because not playing just that bad is not a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
The quarterback that we saw take the Packers on that run, that magical run a couple years ago, and took them to Dallas and just mopped Dallas and just made them look like nothing, and then went to San Fran and went toe-to-toe with one of the best teams that we've seen in a while, and went toe-to-toe and only lost because he made a boneheaded decision late, and your kicker missed a field goal. But outside of that, played a darn good game, a darn good playoffs. That's the guy that we're missing. Yeah. And he regressed from there to what we saw last year. Anybody who doesn't believe that he did, I don't know what you were watching. Maybe the stats look better, but that was because you had a complete season of it. And he was banged up and everything in between. I just think that's where I'm at. I'm not looking at him as this guy is just he played terrible. I don't think he played terrible. I don't, not at all. He was banged up, he was hurt, everything between. Like I think there was a lot of X factors in there. I just think he wasn't playing like I thought he could have. Yeah. Even though he was hurt, his groin was giving him problems. I knew all that. I just thought that his headspace wasn't there. I just thought that they didn't do a good job of, putting the game plans together. I thought Matt LaFleur's game plans with Jordan Love when he came back sucked. I thought they did. I thought they absolutely sucked. And if he was so hurt that he couldn't run under center, he should not
have him do bootlegs and just like why you have him do plays that don't make it. And on top of that, too, the offensive line all year had issues. I think that really played into Jordan's inability to like you said, his mentals weren't there because he was not focused. Like he couldn't focus on just looking downfield and distributing, right? He's too concerned about Josh Myers giving up pressures inside all freaking day. Elton Jenkins in our lineup. Sean Ryan, actually, he made all his snaps. But when you had literally Josh Myers out there playing with one arm, which to me, I felt like if he had a torn pec, partial torn, whatever the case may be, Jacob Monk should have been in there right away. Or you should have transitioned Elton to center.
I love the heart. Like you love the heart, but I agree. It's like there's always so much you can do.
You're hurting. You're hurting the team being out there because I'm sorry, like even in that play where he got hurt in the Philly game, the whole offensive line collapsed on him. And then you literally have Jalen Carter pulling him down. You got freaking Jordan Davis on top of him. I'm just saying there's a lot. I'm just like, I can see why they invested in a line like they did in the draft this year. And also with Aaron Banks. They said that free agency opened and Aaron Banks said the first person that called him was Green Bay. Like not even like 5 seconds in. And it's like, boom, they called him right away. And they were going to get a lot locked up. And I thought that was interesting. So when you said the mental thing, I get exactly what you mean, though.
Yep.
I feel like the decision making that he had in 2023, 2024 was completely different than 2023 was completely different than what we saw in 2024.
Yep.
And excuse me, a lot of you kind of wonder what was it? Like you said, there's so many X factors that played into that, right?
Yep.
And I think I won't say it's a prove-it year for Jordan, but we need to see him take that next step. Unfortunately, because the fact that, he signed a big contract, which was on par with what quarterbacks are getting paid right now. But unfortunately, that's the kind of thing that when you sign something like that, you have to kind of back it up. And if you go back and look at history, like every time Rodgers signed a big contract, he got hurt that following year. Like, no joke. Like, the only time it did happen was the Super Bowl year because he signed his contract before the Super Bowl year. Right. And then pretty much he got a separated shoulder, but he worked through it. But then like the one in, was it 2018? He signed a big contract. They got Kaiser. And then what happened? Breaks his freaking knee.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Then in 2022, signs another extension. What happens? Breaks his thumb, breaks his ribs. I'm just saying, like, and then Jordan, same thing, signs a big contract, and then he gets freaking. I'm just saying, I don't know, bro. It's just something cursed about that, which is just infuriating to me. I may be connecting dots here. But it drives me crazy where they sign these contracts and then like something bad happens. It's like, come on, can they just not? Like Dave Bakhtiari, come on. D-Bach, big contract, tears his knee, never plays really ever again. I don't know, man. It's just weird to me. I'd be seeing some stuff sometimes. Maybe I need to go become an astrologer or something. I don't know. I'm just saying, it's just a little weird to me. But look, the pressers were pretty cool. It was great hearing from the players, great hearing from the floor. And, you already kind of touched on this. You jumped ahead, but it's all good, though. Okay, I wanted to talk about Mr. Sam Brown Jr. So, played with Golden in Houston. If you listen to, like, the Peter Bukowskis, who we all know can be a little interesting on Twitter, there are some things he says that I resonate with, and there's some things that he says he just really
throws some crazy stats.
He throws some crazy stuff out there now. I'm not going to argue with that. Corey Banke got it in for him, and I don't blame him. I agree with Corey. But look, it's one of those things where he even said, like, the Packers, when they were watching Matthew Golden's tape at Houston, they probably saw a lot of Sam Brown. And having an opportunity to bring him in. I believe he was a 4.5, 5-star recruit coming out of high school, right? And then also he was, he played with him in Houston, then he went to Miami. He had a really good season in Miami with Cam Ward. I'm just saying, like, his tape doesn't look bad. And we're over here complaining about these guys not taking the step in the second year, which is normally the case with a lot of receivers. So if we don't see the third-year jump by Wicks and Reed, right, I feel like we have so many young guys that are coming in now that someone's going to be able to take the mantle and go running, And if you look at the way LaFleur coaches his offense, I know people are talking about WR1. I just don't feel like he needs a WR1 for his offense. And I hope I'm not misspeaking in that. But what I mean by that is that the way, Rodgers had his favorites, right? And we talked about this on your show. And last time too, where my man, when Watson dropped that first ball, he iced him out for 7-8 games. And what was he doing? He was trying to make Alan Lazard a WR1, which, was kind of had some mixed results there, right? But you come over here and you got Jordan, who really just throws to the open guy. He looks at the play, he throws to the open guy. And I just can't wait to see Golden out there. I can't wait to see, Savion out there. And just honestly just seeing just how Reed and Wicks are going to take this next thing. Based on what I was hearing in the OTA competition period, Wicks had no drops. He had some amazing catches. Hey, I need him to build on that. They said that he looks considerably bigger. And, bro, I'm just saying, maybe some of the things that happen in this offseason were the right fires that need to be lit to get these guys going. But, Mr. Brown, what were your thoughts on Mr. Brown?
I'm watching some tape on him right now.
So, yeah, go look at it. Dude, I'm just saying.
He's got some He's got some pretty good speed, baby. Yeah. He's got some pretty. I mean, he's gonna be like that Malik Heath kind of random guy that just
love the War Daddy.
Yeah. I mean, he's just that random guy. He's not he's not a star, but he's like your fourth guy. He's your fifth guy. He's right now. That's where he's at. He's that kind of guy, and I think that's okay. Yeah, you have a guy like that 100%. On the practice squad. If he can, file down, go to the practice squad for the Packers, have him in your reserve for now. I don't hate that, because you're going to reach a point here where Watson can't want a lot of money because he's been hurt all the time, so he can't want a lot. But Dobbs is going to want to pay it in, Reed's going to want to pay it in, Wicks is going to want to pay it in. You're going to have to let some people go, right? And you're going to have to pick probably one or two. This is a guy where Sam Brown comes, whoop, there he is, fits in the fold. Yeah, you got to have those guys where you can fit them in later. This is one of those options, because you're not going to sign all those guys back. I mean, that's going to be impossible. Reed and Dobbs are both going to probably want good money. I guarantee it. And then you're going to have Wicks trying to get money out of it too. So you're going to have to pick and choose and get rid of some guys. So it's going to be a question of who do you keep, where does it all fit? Sam Brown's the kind of guy who later on probably fits into that fold. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with this wide receiver room. This is
so many guys, man.
13 guys, and there's a lot of talent. I mean, you got Matthew Golden now, you got Savion. I'm at the point where I'm not batting an eye on trading. If anybody wants a wide receiver,
that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yep. If anybody wants a wide receiver, I don't think the Bengals do for Trey Hendrickson, because they already have to deal with two guys.
Higgins and Jabbar.
Yeah, they got their guys already. I mean, the Steelers maybe could use another guy.
They'll be trying to trade for Jonnu Smith, bro. I mean,
you want to do a crazy deal? I love Malik Willis, but they don't have a quarterback yet because Aaron Rodgers is handshake signed, but not really signed. I'd call him and say, hey, I got Malik Willis, and I don't know who. I don't want to say any of these receivers because I kind of like them all, but you pick one and say it. And who do you want out of my receiver core? I'll give you a receiver. I'll give you Malik Willis for TJ Watt. What do you want? And do you want to pick? I can give you a 3rd round pick too, because a TJ Watt, if you lock him up, that's worth it. Definitely worth it.
I'm sorry. Bring the Wisconsin guy back home.
Yeah.
Make up the mistake that we did in 2015? No.
How many different mistakes?
2017.
How many
I'm sorry. Dude, I don't even want to talk about that, because they were like, oh yeah, 4th round pick, Vince Beagle, we got the better pass rusher. I'm like, man, shut up. David was saying that joint. I was like, shut up, dude. You stupid as hell, dog.
I like
now look at Vince. Vince not even in the damn league no more. Good dude though.
He was good for that short amount of time. He's good for that. How many guys need to come out of Wisconsin though that the Packers aren't even going to look at, and they're going to go somewhere else and do good? I mean, look at TJ Edwards was fantastic, and you got Zach Bond, literally one of the best linebackers in football, doing it with the Eagles, and then you got Leo Chanel out there with the Kansas City Chiefs. He's been fantastic.
Yep.
I just look, and TJ Watt, you got JJ Watt, you got TJ Watt, you got Jonathan Taylor. I mean, how many Wisconsin dogs are we going to let just walk? The quarterbacks, that's fine. They all suck. All the quarterbacks that come out of Madison suck. But looking at the defense, I mean, even a guy like this last
defense and offensive line. I would have been like, sign me up, dog. I'm
Offensive
just saying.
line. I mean, come on. And like even a guy like Hunter Wooler, he just went to the Colts. They just picked
Colts,
him up
yeah,
last
yeah. I
year.
liked him. I liked him
I
a
loved
lot.
him. He's like your Swiss Army knife. He's
Yeah.
like a guy that you can just put. He could be a hybrid linebacker because that's what
Yeah.
he was with the Badgers. He was running, he was rushing the quarterback, he was dropping back in coverage. He was everywhere. He's a hard-nosed football player. That's
Yeah.
what you need. And the Packers just like, oh, I want the shiny toy. Why don't you just get the roughneck dude every once in a while, man?
It's one of those things where
Drives
like
me nuts.
it was one of those things where this is my big brother cousin over here giving me a hard time, but it's funny too. Like I agree. Like I remember like when we drafted Jared Abbrederis, I was like, damn, finally 5th round pick receiver, Wisconsin, and I love Jared Abbrederis. I think he had talent. He just his body wasn't unfortunately made for the NFL, right?
Yep.
And that he got banged up a little bit. He just never could really recover. But I'm with you, bro. Like I just think that there's been a lot of talent that's come out of Wisconsin, and we've brought them in for visits. We just don't ever sign them. And I know Ted Thompson at one point had talked about how the pressure of being a Wisconsin kid, and a lot of the Wisconsin kids are from Wisconsin, so having to play for their home team and having to have that kind of pressure on them. I'm like, yeah, but you know what? Like, what did either Rogers say or someone else said it? You know, pressure is a privilege, right? And I'm sorry, like you put a guy coming out of Wisconsin, you put him on the Packers. I'm sorry, more than likely he's going to play like 5 times harder than anybody else because he's representing not only his hometown, his home state, but also the team that he's been following since he was a baby. Like, I'm sorry, I just think like they're looking at it completely wrong. And they got Cole Van Allen.
Yep.
Yeah, they got him too, and they traded him away, right? But I'm with you, man. It's just one of those things where there is a lot of good talent that's in house, and we just really haven't been tapping that. But you know what? At the end of the day, I do feel like the Packers. Someone put out a breakdown of the draft picks for last 10 years, the last 16 years or something, and they said that the Packers have hit more than they haven't hit, and that there's a lot of like respect given for that based on the fact of what they've done. Look at Jason here. Because as much as the Packer fans may want to call us seculars, the TT mold of drafting is not evolved. I agree with that.
Exactly.
100% agree with that.
Exactly. Yes. Let's get away from that bull crap because guess what he never did? Draft a receiver. So maybe they're finally getting away from it. They're like, it's not working. Maybe we need to change something. Let's draft some weapons. Let's do because this last draft, it was like, well, we need defense and we need offense. Yep. What should we do? And then they're just like Christian Yelich. I talk so much crap about him all the time. And then he goes yard twice tonight. It drives me nuts. Like every time I bash him, he just
he bashed him.
I bashed him on the radio show. And then all of a sudden the next game he just lights it up. And I'm just like, everybody out there is just complaining, listening to me right now. They're like, oh, he's just an idiot. Shut up. Just shut up. Anyways, yeah, I agree. I mean, the old model sucks. We need to get away from that. I think they did. I think they said, well, we're not winning with what we're trying to do, so let's go get some weapons because we found it odd they went with 2 wide receivers in the first 3 rounds. They didn't go 1. They went with 2, and they got a guy who was questionable in Savion Williams, but the more you watch him, it's like, this guy's huge. He's athletic. It's going to be fun to watch him go. So maybe, just maybe, they're adjusting, and that's what you wanted to see was an adjustment from this team. And Goody's like, well, I've been sucking drafting right now, so maybe don't get another quarterback in the first round because it hasn't worked out well.
I was gonna say first round pick of Golden. I could see that being the hitter. I can see him hit with that one. The Savion pick, if they had drafted him in the second round like they were talking about it at one point, I would have probably been upset about that. Get him as a 3rd round pick, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Not as bad. Yes.
That's not as bad. Yeah. So, yeah, I was going to say, like, it looks like, things are progressing in the right direction here. And, I think the biggest thing now is just to try to see kind of like what the next couple of weeks kind of brings back for the Packers when it comes to Jair, when it comes to any trades that might happen. Because, due to that June 1st post-cut decisions that are made across the NFL, there are some talented players that do come available. So it'll be interesting to see what may happen here. I'm kind of holding out hope that Goody will try to make a trade for Hendrickson. I think Steve Sparky Pfeiffer was talking about a 1st and a 3rd and a 1st the following year or something like that. Hey, look, I'm saying that's a lot to give up for a 31-year-old player, but I mean, if he's a final piece that we need to kind of take us over the hump, kind of like we do at Reggie White, sign me up, man.
Yep.
Sign me up.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Like I'm all for it. But my last words, as my old partner used to say, want to be respectful of everyone's time here. We got a good crowd of folks watching us right now, and I think people want to get going on their Friday night here. But any last words you got, Trey? What you got, man?
Oh, it's too early to have any words for this team. I agree with that guy. I don't know if I trust in Goody yet. I don't know if I trust in LaFleur yet. I don't know if I trust anybody. This is the year. I got to see it.
Yeah.
I do. I got to see it now because you open the window. It's wide open. How much further do you want it to be opened? Mm-hmm. I can't. I'm going to have to tear the window off the house here pretty soon to open up that hole and even more. Like, it is open right now. You have to take advantage of it now. Not this wasting time. Not this, it's the coach's fault for this and this. At some point, you got to accept that, hey, we sucked when all we decided to do was keep Lucas Van Ness and not go get a bona fide edge rusher when we had the opportunity. That's where I'm at with this team right now. I'm in the boat of I need to see it now. I need to see all these words, all this big business talk, right? We're just lonely dudes who are just sitting here on a Friday night talking to people about the Packers. The higher up guys are telling us, oh, we're fine, right? We brought in this new guy. We're fine now. Everything's going to be fine. All right, go show me.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to hear excuses. I want to see you go. If everybody's healthy, I want to see this team do something. And if they don't, well, then there's got to be questions to be answered. Because Matt LaFleur, as much as I love the guy sometimes, he's 3-5, 3-6 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I love the guy, but you got to show me success too. You got to have success at the end of the day. Success is in Green Bay. I'm sorry to say, success is playoffs. Success is getting over that hump. So right now is the period where you go get me some guys and we make this thing work and we see how far we can go with this thing. So I agree with Jason over there when he says, I don't know if I trust in Goody. I don't know if I do sometimes. I don't know if I trust in anybody in the Packers organization sometimes. So, I mean, they have to, I think he's thinking, like I'm thinking, they got to prove it to me now. So I'm in a prove it period right now. Those are my last words. I'm in a prove it period with these Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I like that, man. I was going to say my last words are that you kind of cover the bases there. But yeah, end of the day, I'm really looking forward to just seeing this team blend and meld together and take it to the next level. Because right now, what it comes down to it is they have everything they need in front of them. They are telling us everything we want to hear. We do have a lot of changes. We are, unfortunately, the bastards of the NFL right now. With the whole tush-push thing, we got the heat for all that stuff.
I don't want to hear that because when they sent out the list of every other team who voted for it, I'm like, it's not all of you.
Look, there was literally 22 other teams that said they didn't want to do it either, but we're the ones.
I'm like, you guys, just shut up. You guys can't say nothing anymore.
And I'm just like, all right, whatever. End of the day, I'm just like, I want to blame us. But unfortunately, we do got a target on our back now. People want to hate on us.
I hope so.
Yeah, and that's fine though. For me, I'm like, hey, our schedule, we have one of the top 5 hardest schedules out of all the NFL teams. So if anything, we're gonna see what this team's made of, right? If they're gonna step up to the challenge or if they're gonna falter, and that will play into LaFleur and his ability to coach. That will play into Jordan as well as the defense stepping up and do what they need to do and go in the right direction. So I'm with you, man. I'm really excited to see what happens here. I'm looking forward to next week, seeing if any changes occur. And honestly, I'm just waiting for the weekend to start, man, to be honest.
I know. But the Eagles owner, I mean, after that whole tush push thing, I remember he said something about like a wet boy's teenage dream.
Dude, he said the dumbest thing. He just said the dumbest thing, dog. I'm just like,
you want to call us the weird ones over here?
Yeah,
you're
dude,
the ones
talking
about teenage boys' wet dreams. Like, come on.
Yeah, dog, someone needs to go check his computer. I don't know.
I'm just saying we had the ball. Well, okay, this is what I'm gonna say. End of the day, Eagles fans, shut up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you that
we stopped you guys more than anybody else. What are we talking about right now? Come on,
I can't have Quay Walker push on Devontae Wyatt to come up that middle, then why should you be able to have guys push on guys to come forward?
I agree.
There's my simple reasoning for it. I don't care that you run it. I don't care. I really don't. If you find are we censored on here?
Nope. Go for
it. If you find a 11 guy circle jerk to be fun to watch, good. Happy for you. I'm happy for you. But it's exhausting. It is absolutely exhausting to watch. And if you find a 1 yard little tush push cool, thumbs
Have
up.
fun. Go at it.
Go
Yeah.
get it. Like,
I was
if
gonna
you
say
want to
that,
go
like,
1 yard at a crack at the Packers all night long,
yeah.
go for it. I hope in that game when they play them, they run
Yeah,
the
November
pistol
10th, baby.
like it's
Yeah, I
going
was
out of
looking at the
style.
schedule.
I hope they run it every single drive because
Yes.
then we can all go back to the Commanders and say, why did the Commanders almost give away free points because they were jumping off sides so many times on the goal line?
Yep. Trying to time
Because
the
it's
snap.
exhausting. It's exhausting after a while. So I don't know.
Dude, I'm over
I'm
this.
just
Like,
so
can we just
done
get
with
this over
that
with? Yeah. I feel you, brother. I feel you, man. But everybody, hey, those are checking in. Thank you for checking us out. We're good. We're doing this weekly right now, so appreciate you guys. You have a great Friday, and as always, go Pack, go.